Are your students motivated? What can we do to help our students feel more motivated from the inside as they learn? That's what we'll talk about in this video, second in the series on active learning in the classroom. My name is Erin Lebacqz, and today I'll be talking about intrinsic motivation, motivation that comes from inside, which has been shown to be more powerful even than motivation that comes from the outside. So what can we do to create lessons and activities that will help our students feel this kind of natural internal motivation? Well, let's take a look at what's required for both kinds of motivation, and then we'll dig a little deeper into intrinsic motivation, and I'll share how you can create that in your students by looking at what's required to feel motivated and including that kind of thing in your lessons. Okay, you may have heard about the two general kinds of motivation: extrinsic, coming from outside; intrinsic, coming from inside. So with extrinsic motivation, we feel motivated often because we need to. Maybe we are going to get a reward. If I'm a student, I might be getting points or a grade. If I'm an employee, I might be getting paid, hopefully, right? These are extrinsic rewards that help us stay on task and do what we need to do. Also extrinsic, external, coming from outside, punishments or sticks, as they say, not carrots, but sticks. Things where we get in trouble. We'll lose points if we do this. Our grade will suffer. We'll get docked pay, or we won't get our favorite schedule, right? So we do get motivated by these outside forces. But in education, intrinsic motivation is more powerful for helping students engage and want to learn, and also to remember concepts. So let's look at that. Intrinsic motivation comes from inside. We do something because we have interest in it. We have confidence that we are able to do what we need to do. We pursue a naturally interesting topic, and we want to do it. It's natural. We all feel this way about many things in our life. You can think about the things that you do that no one needs to tell you to do. You just do them because you enjoy it. You don't need extrinsic motivation in those cases. Many things that we do in life, whether it's school, work, or personal life, are a mix of the two kinds of motivation. For example, maybe it's time for me to cook a meal. Maybe I'm having guests over and I feel the pressure from outside to make a good meal. But I also find cooking interesting and creative. I also like it. And so I would feel a mix of those two types of motivation while cooking that meal. Okay, well, studies have shown that intrinsic motivation is a stronger driver. And this is how we can really get our students involved when they naturally, personally care about what we're doing in class. So we want to write activities that create that feeling, right? So how do we do that? Let's look a little bit at what's required for somebody to feel motivated from the inside. I'm going to share two models or theories. One is the classic, and the second one is from me and oriented specifically to the classroom. Ryan and Deci have been noted as some of the experts in this field, and they talked about three required factors for someone to feel motivated from inside: autonomy, competence, relatedness. Autonomy is about having the choice and interest on your own as an independent person. We might see a question on the board and think, I'm kind of curious about that. I want to know the answer to that. I, on my own, want to know, and I'm going to use my skills to investigate and try to participate and figure this out. That's different than when we don't have independence and we're just being controlled and told what to do. Here we have the autonomy. Maybe we even choose our topic or choose what we say about it, but we at least have intellectual independence. And to get this, we can treat our students like intellectuals. And I'll share an example of how to do that in a moment. Competence, do we have the skills for what's needed? In the classroom, this means we as teachers need to set activities for the right skill level, possibly give foundational information if needed, before asking students to engage. And relatedness, does the topic relate in a variety of ways to something that we care about? It might be that the topic in a class is related to something we're going to do for work, and we find it interesting. It might be that the topic in class is learning to use English, and that the student knows that will get me more opportunities. Or relatedness might be about relating to the other people in class or to your teacher. So the social side of learning and making sure that people feel belonging and trust and confidence. Okay, my version is similar. Different words, slightly more only about the classroom. So after I talk through these 3 factors, I'm going to share some examples about how you would create those factors in an exercise or activity that you're doing to help students feel intrinsically motivated. Students would need curiosity, confidence, and connection. Now, one of my favorite ways to create curiosity in students is to ask questions. We talked about that last week with our most recent video on discovery learning. This is a great way to get students curious, so I would encourage you to check out that video. When students want to know something, which is natural, right? We naturally want to learn and grow. Then they're much more interested, of course, in the activity. So we need to set up a situation where students can get curious about something and want to find answers. Confidence, helping our students feel confident with the skills, confident in the classroom, confident with us, confident that they're respected, confident that they have the skills it takes to do the activity. And lastly, connection. Does the student feel like the activity is connected to things they care about, maybe their field, maybe their job, maybe their city? And does the student feel connected with other people in the classroom, the teacher, the other students? When we have those 3 things, it's more likely that a student will feel intrinsically motivated. So let's talk about how we would create those 3 emotions in a student to help them feel intrinsically motivated. And I would encourage you to share your strategies in the comments, because I know you are also doing things to help your students feel this way. So let us know, how do you create curiosity in the classroom? My favorite way is inquiry-based learning, asking questions, helping students feel like they care about the answer and they want to figure it out. This can be done by asking why something is a certain way. In discovery learning, we might say, why do these sentences use the past tense verb and these use the future verb? What is the pattern? What is the theory behind this? Students will also feel more curious often when the topic is relevant to their studies, to their friends, to their location, to their interests. For example, when we're talking about a song, maybe you're using a song to learn English. If that song is relevant to their life, they might be even more curious to figure out the lyrics. Same with showing the impact or consequences. Maybe you're teaching about laws or theories in economics or social sciences. When students see the consequences, why does this law create this? They might ask. So it's all about creating a mystery. A participant in a wonderful class I'm teaching right now about active learning shared just this morning in class a great example of creating mystery. In an introductory English class, she brings a box and she says, "What's inside?" And they have to ask questions until they all figure it out as a class together. It's a way to encourage them to speak. But that's a perfect example of creating mystery. And we can also create mystery when we talk about history, people, society. Why was this the way it was? So a lot of asking why, like we do with discovery learning. So remember, we had that link. You may want to check out the previous video to this one as well. Confidence. Our students will be more intrinsically motivated when they're confident. A lot of that has to do with the feedback we give, the praise we give when they take a risk and try pronouncing a new word or try explaining a theory, and the praise, and also help with next steps if they need it, right? Good job on this. If you want, the next time you could also say this or that. And now they have more tools. We can set things at the right skill level. We can show students their improvement. Many times students don't realize how well they're doing. They might be comparing themselves to each other or to someone on TV. What we want is for students to compare themselves to themselves a month ago or a semester ago to see the progress. So progress checks that show their improvement go a long way to creating confidence. And anytime a student will need to present or just speak aloud, giving them a little bit of prep time ahead so it's less scary can help with that. All right, the last area, connection. How can we help our students feel that trust and connection with us and the other students so they're willing to take more risks and be motivated to participate in all kinds of activities, even speaking in front of the class? Well, we can connect the topic to their studies, to things that their peers care about, to current events or things happening in their local area. So connecting by topic, connecting by people. We can work hard to create trust in the classroom. One way I heard people doing this in the same class this morning with amazing teachers, they shared, I have the students ask me questions to figure things out about me. And us being open helps them be open. I put bonus on here. One of my favorite ways to create both connection and confidence in beginning students is to show my own mistakes. If I'm in a class where people are learning English, I will try to speak a little bit in their language to show all the mistakes I will make, and it's okay to make mistakes. I'll also share stories of a time that I did something wrong with the content, and then I figured it out later. This helps us connect as humans, right? So when you're looking to help your students be more motivated and you're creating your activities, try making sure your activity has an element of curiosity, has a way for a student to feel confident, and also connects the students to one another, to you, or to topics they care about. All right, and I know you're probably doing a lot of this in your classroom, so please let us know in the comments, what are your strategies for creating these 3 feelings in your students that can lead them to feel intrinsic motivation. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon in the next video.